My name is Vivian Cross. I'm 33 years old. And the moment I realized my relationship was changing didn't come with screaming, or a slammed door, or some dramatic confession. It came with a sentence so arrogant it didn't even sound real at first. "This place is basically mine now. You should start paying rent." He said it like he was stating the weather. I've lived in my house for about 7 years. I bought it as a foreclosure. Ugly carpet, stained ceilings, a backyard that looked like it had given up. I was 26, exhausted, stubborn, and proud of myself for even qualifying for the loan. For 2 years, I fixed it up on weekends and evenings. Paint under my nails, sawdust in my hair, YouTube tutorials playing while I learned how to patch drywall like a grown woman who couldn't afford to call a contractor every time something cracked. It's not a mansion. 3 bedrooms, a decent yard, a quiet neighborhood where nobody bothers you unless your trash can falls over on a windy day. But it's mine. I paid it off last year. That final payment felt like exhaling after holding my breath for a decade. I remember sitting at my kitchen table with the confirmation email open, staring at it until my eyes burned. Not because the email was emotional, but because what it represented was safety, independence, proof that I could build a life with my own hands and not owe anyone an explanation. Then I met Logan Price, dating app, normal bio, marketing job, the kind of smile that looks like it belongs in a before photo, before heartbreak, before betrayal, before you realize charm is sometimes just packaging. At first, he was easy to love, funny, ambitious, attentive in that early stage way where you feel chosen, like he's not just spending time with you, he's investing in you. About 8 months in, he mentioned his lease was ending. "Rent is getting insane," he said one night, pushing pasta around his plate. "My place wants like $1,800 for a studio." "That's ridiculous," I said, genuinely angry for him. "How does anyone even live like that?" He shrugged, but his eyes lingered on my living room, my couch, my shelves, the lamp I'd carried up the stairs myself when I moved in. "I don't know what I'm going to do," he said quietly. And that was the moment I made the mistake that only looks like a mistake in hindsight. Because I was in love, and when you're in love, generosity feels like romance. "You could move in here," I said. "Save the money, put it towards something better." His face lit up like I'd handed him a winning lottery ticket. "Are you serious?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "We're together all the time anyway. Might as well make it official." "Viv, are you sure?" I nodded. "I'm sure." 2 weeks later, he moved in. Not slowly, not carefully, not with any hesitation that suggested he understood the weight of stepping into someone else's home. He moved in like a man arriving at a destination. Furniture, dishes, decor. Within days, my neutral spaces started filling with his taste. Bold prints, motivational quotes, sleek black organizers that looked like they belonged in a bachelor influencer's apartment tour. I didn't mind at first. I even liked it. There's something intoxicating about coming home to another human being. Someone who asks how your day was. Someone who makes the kitchen feel alive, even if they're just leaning against the counter scrolling their phone while you cook. He covered groceries sometimes, picked up takeout here and there. He never handed me rent money, but I never asked. In my head, we were building something, a future, marriage maybe, a shared life. And shared lives aren't supposed to feel like invoices. Then, about 3 months in, the atmosphere shifted. It started with small things. Logan would invite people over without asking. I'd come home from work and find 2 of his friends on my couch, like they'd always lived there. Shoes off, drinks on my coasters, laughing at something on the TV I hadn't turned on. "Hey," I'd say carefully, trying not to sound like a parent. "You could have texted me you were having people over." He'd look at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "Why?" he'd say. "It's my place too." "It's my house," I'd answer, keeping my voice calm. "I'm not saying you can't have friends over. I'm saying it's courtesy to give me a heads up." And that's when he started using the word that would become his favorite weapon. "God, you're being controlling." Controlling. The first time he said it, I actually laughed a little because it sounded so dramatic. But he didn't laugh with me. He meant it. After that, every boundary became control. Every preference became control. Every moment, I reminded him I existed in this house too. My schedule, my work stress, my need for quiet became evidence that I was somehow unreasonable. Then the changes got bigger. He wanted to repaint the living room. He hated my couch because it didn't match his aesthetic. He wanted to replace furniture I'd had for years, pieces I'd saved for, carried, assembled, lived on. "This is a shared space now," he'd say, like he was reading from a script. "We should both have input." "I already had it set up the way I like it," I told him. "And now I live here too," he'd reply. "My opinion matters just as much." Except it didn't feel like input. It felt like replacement. I'd come home and find my bookshelf moved. Family photos taken down. My dad, my college graduation, replaced with glossy photos of Logan and his friends at bars, smiling like they were auditioning for the same life. My tools got shoved deeper into the garage because he needed space for his storage bins. The worst was my office setup. One night I walked in and froze. My gaming monitor, boxed. My chair, pushed into the corner. My desk cleared like someone had erased my existence. "What is this?" I asked. Logan didn't even look guilty. "I needed room for my desk," he said. "I work from home sometimes." "So do I said, voice tightening. "That's why I had it set up." "Well," he said, shrugging, "now it's my office. You can use the guest room." "The guest room doesn't have the same setup." "Then set it up there," he snapped. "Why do you make everything such a problem?" I didn't have an answer that would satisfy him. Because the real answer was, because you're treating my home like a prize you're entitled to. But I didn't say that yet. I still believed love could be explained into behaving. Last week was when it escalated. I got home around 6 and found Logan on the couch with his laptop open, surrounded by papers like he was auditioning for the role of responsible adult. "Hey," I said, dropping my bag. "We need to talk," he said without looking up. Something in my stomach tightened. "Okay," I said, "what's up?" "I've been thinking about finances," he began, "about how we split things." "All right." "I don't think it's fair that I'm contributing to groceries and utilities, but not getting any equity in the house." I stared at him. "Equity?" I repeated. "Yeah," he said, finally looking up. "I'm paying into this place, but I don't own any of it." "You're not paying rent," I said slowly. "You're helping with bills." "Same difference," he snapped. "I'm contributing financially to the household." "Contributing to bills isn't the same as paying a mortgage," I said, trying to keep my tone level. "I bought this house. I fixed it up. It's mine." His expression hardened, like my words had insulted him. "That's a really selfish way to look at it," he said. "How is it selfish?" My voice cracked, just slightly. "I bought this house years before I met you. And now we're together," he said. "We're building a life. What's yours should be ours." "We're not married," I reminded him. And that's when his mouth curled, not quite a smile. "Wow," he said. "So you're already planning for divorce." "I'm not planning for divorce," I said. "I'm being realistic about asset ownership." He shut his laptop with more force than necessary. "You know what?" he said, leaning back like he'd reached a conclusion. "Fine. This place is basically mine now anyway." I blinked. "What?" "You heard me," he said. "This place is basically mine now. You should start paying rent." Rent. For my own house. For the home I rebuilt with my hands. I felt something strange happen inside me, like a cord snapped, but instead of pain, there was clarity. I didn't yell, didn't argue. I just looked at him for a long moment and said calmly, "All right." He frowned. "All right? What?" "All right," I repeated. "I'll think about it." "There's nothing to think about." I said I'll think about it. Then I stood up, walked to my office, the one he'd tried to take, and closed the door. My hands were steady as I pulled open my filing cabinet. The folder was exactly where I'd always kept it. Deed, title, mortgage records showing the final payment. And something else. A prenup draft my lawyer had prepared 3 months ago when I mentioned we might get engaged someday. I'd never shown Logan because I'd been waiting for the right time, because I didn't want to look like I didn't trust him. But there was one more thing in that folder too. Security camera receipts. Because a month after Logan moved in, I installed cameras, living areas, garage, entryways, not private spaces, nothing creepy, just security. At the time, I told myself it was for safety. Standing there in the quiet of my locked office, I realized something cold and undeniable. Maybe I'd installed them for a reason I didn't want to admit yet. I picked up the folder, held it against my chest like armor, and whispered to the empty room, "Okay, Logan." Then I opened my laptop, and I started watching. I didn't sleep that night. Logan did. Curled on his side of the bed, breathing slow and even, like the conversation we'd had was already filed away under resolved. That was always his talent, dropping a bomb and then acting surprised when the building didn't look the same afterward. I lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying his words over and over. This place is basically mine now. There are sentences that don't just hurt you, they rearrange how you see someone. That was one of them. It wasn't anger I felt first, it was disbelief. The kind that makes you question whether you misheard, whether context could possibly save it. By morning, context had died. Logan woke up cheerful, too cheerful. He made himself breakfast like nothing had happened, used my favorite mug, kissed my cheek on his way out like we were a normal couple with normal disagreements. "I'm meeting friends for lunch," he said, grabbing his keys. "Probably won't be back until dinner." "Okay," I said. He paused, eyeing me. "You're being weird." "I'm being quiet," I replied. "There's a difference." He scoffed. "Whatever. We'll talk more about the rent thing later." The door closed behind him, and something inside me finally clicked into place. I went straight back to my office, shut the door, and opened my laptop. The security app loaded quickly. At first, I told myself I was just confirming what I already knew, that I wasn't looking for anything dramatic, just clarity. I sped the footage up, days blurring into each other. Logan pacing the living room on phone calls, Logan laughing with friends on the couch, Logan hosting people like the house had always belonged to him. It didn't take long. There he was, on the living room camera, 2 weeks after moving in, sitting with his friend Mark, beer in hand. "This place?" Logan said, gesturing around him. "Yeah, it's basically mine now. I'm just working on getting my name on everything." I felt my stomach drop. Another clip, his mother visiting. Logan walking her through the house, pride in his voice. "This is my house. Living room, kitchen, office. Backyard's mine too, thinking about redoing it." "Not ours, mine." Then a phone call, late one night, pacing by the entryway. "I locked down a really good situation," he said, voice low and smug. "Just need to make it official." I paused the video. My hands were shaking now, but not with fear. With certainty. I backed everything up. 3 times. Cloud storage, external hard drive, USB stick. I labeled the folder simply, property. Then I made an appointment with my lawyer for Monday morning. Saturday came with another test. Logan wanted to go furniture shopping. "The bedroom set needs updating," he said casually, like it was already decided. "I'm not buying new furniture," I replied. "Why not?" "It's 4 years old. It's fine." He made a face. "It's hideous." "And I like it." "Well, I don't," he said. "And since this is my house too, I get a say." I looked up slowly. "Your house." "Our house," he corrected. "God, you're so possessive." "Because it's my stuff," I said evenly. "In my house." "Not for long." That made me freeze. "What does that mean?" "Nothing," he said quickly. "Just, once we're married, it'll be legally ours." "It stays separate unless I add you to the deed," I said, "which I won't." His face changed then. Something sharp flashed behind his eyes. "You're really going to keep me off the deed of my own house?" "It's not your house," I said. "You moved in 5 months ago. You don't pay rent. You don't pay the mortgage. I've put work into this place. Rearranging furniture isn't work." He grabbed his jacket. "I'm going out. Don't wait up." He didn't come home until after midnight. I was still awake reading when he slid into bed. "Where were you?" I asked. "Out," he snapped. "Why? You tracking my time now?" "Just asking. Maybe I needed space from my controlling fiancé who won't even let me feel at home in my own house." "Not your house," I said. He turned away. "Whatever. We'll see what a lawyer says." That was the moment I knew. He wasn't confused. He was calculating. Monday morning, my lawyer listened quietly as I laid everything out. The rent comment, the entitlement, the footage. When I finished, he laughed. Not politely, actually laughed. "She told you to pay her rent?" he said. "He," I corrected automatically. "My boyfriend." "Right. Does he know you own the house outright?" "Yes." "Then he has zero claim. None. Not now, not later. He's a tenant at will at best." "And the prenup?" He slid it back to me. "Solid. If he won't sign it, don't marry him." When I got home, Logan was at the kitchen table, laptop open. "Where were you?" he asked. "Running errands." "You're being secretive." "I'm being private." "That's not how partnerships work." I unlocked my phone and turned it toward him. The video played. His voice filled the room. "This place is basically mine now." Color drained from his face. "You're recording me?" he shouted. "I have security cameras," I said calmly, "in common areas." "That's an invasion of privacy."
No, it's proof.
He started crying then. Not messy crying. Tactical crying. "I can't believe you're doing this," he said. "I thought you loved me." "I thought you loved me," I replied. "Not my house." "I was just talking," he sobbed. "It didn't mean anything." "It meant enough for you to demand rent." He didn't answer. "I'm going to my mom's," he said finally. "I need to think." "Take your time," I said. As the door closed behind him, I felt something strange settle over me. Not victory. Clarity. And I knew the next conversation would decide everything. Logan stayed at his mother's place for 3 days. 3 days of silence that felt heavier than any argument we'd ever had. He texted once the first night, "I need space to think." I replied with one word. Okay. I didn't chase him. Didn't send long paragraphs explaining myself. Didn't apologize for protecting what was mine. And for the first time since he'd moved in, my house felt like it was breathing again. When he came back on the fourth day, he let himself in with his key like he always had. No knock, no warning, just the soft click of entitlement returning. I was in the living room, sitting on the opposite end of the couch he'd once tried to claim as his own. Can we talk? He asked. Sure. He sat down, leaving a careful gap between us, like space itself might soften the conversation. I've been thinking a lot, he said, about us, about the house, about everything. Okay. I think I got caught up in the idea of building a life together, he continued, choosing his words carefully. And I forgot that you built this life before me. That almost sounded like accountability. This house, everything in it, it's yours, he said. I see that now. I waited. But, he added, and there it was. I still don't think it's fair for us to be equals in name only. You own the house. You own most of the furniture. You own your car. I came into this relationship with less, and it makes me feel small. I studied him. I've never treated you like you were less, I said. I know, he replied quickly, but I felt it anyway, and I think I tried to overcompensate by taking space that wasn't mine. That was closer to the truth than he'd ever been. So, he asked softly, are you going to forgive me? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I reached for the coffee table. The papers were already there. I slid them toward him. What's this? He asked. A prenuptial agreement, I said. My lawyer drafted it. He picked it up slowly. As he read, his expression shifted. Confusion, then discomfort, then something darker. This says everything you owned before marriage stays yours. Yes. And any debt I have stays mine. Yes. And if we divorce, I get nothing unless we've been married 10 years. That's standard. He dropped the papers. You don't trust me at all, he said flatly. Trust is earned, I replied. And right now, you haven't earned it. Because I said some dumb things to my friends? Because you demanded rent in my own house. Because you told people you were working on getting your name on my property. Because every time I set a boundary, you called me controlling. He stared at the papers again. And if I don't sign this, he asked, then we don't get married. His jaw tightened. So it's an ultimatum. It's a boundary. Silence stretched between us. While you're deciding, I added, you need to start looking for your own place. His head snapped up. You're kicking me out? I'm asking you to find somewhere else to live, I said evenly. I'll give you 60 days. You're really doing this? Yes. He looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Fine, he said finally. I'll think about it. And just like that, we became strangers sharing an address. We existed in parallel, a quiet war of schedules and silence. He ate dinner in his office. I ate in the kitchen. We spoke only when necessary. And every night, I locked my office door before bed. Logan started apartment hunting the way people do when they're hoping the problem will solve itself. Half-hearted, slow, always just browsing. Every evening, he sat on his laptop scrolling through listings, sighing loudly like the universe had personally offended him. One-bedrooms were too small. Prices were unreasonable. Commutes were a joke. Sometimes he'd look up at me and say things like, it's crazy how much easier this would be if we were just sharing everything. I never answered. 2 weeks in, he finally found a place. 1 bedroom, about 20 minutes away. Decent neighborhood, decent price. I signed the lease, he said one night, stabbing at his food. I'm moving out next Saturday. Okay, I replied. He paused. That's it? That's it. You're really fine with us living apart? I think it's necessary, I said. Not just because of the house, because of trust. So this is about punishment now. This is about consequences. He didn't argue after that. He just nodded, like he was filing my words away for later. Moving day came faster than I expected. His friends showed up early, people I barely knew, but who looked at me like they'd already heard a version of the story where I was the villain. Boxes piled up in my hallway. Voices echoed through rooms that were finally starting to feel peaceful again. I stayed in my office and let them work. When they were almost done, Logan knocked on the door. I'm taking the couch, he said. I stared at him. What? The living room couch, he clarified. I paid for that. No, you didn't. I helped pick it out. I bought it 3 years ago. Well, I improved the space, he snapped. It should count. It doesn't, I said calmly. It's my couch. He rolled his eyes. God, you're so petty. It's not petty to keep what's mine. Fine, he muttered. I'll buy my own. As he walked out, he added, add it to the list of things you won't share. The door slammed. His friends followed, carrying the last boxes and throwing me looks heavy with judgment. When the truck pulled away, the house went quiet. Not lonely. Quiet. Clean. Mine again. I stood in the living room for a long moment, letting the silence settle into the walls. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was bracing for impact. 2 months passed. Logan and I saw each other a handful of times, always in public, coffee shops, sidewalks, neutral ground where neither of us could claim territory. The conversations were polite and brief, like we were co-workers finishing a project instead of two people who had once planned a wedding. He still hadn't signed the prenup. Every time I asked, he said the same thing. I just need more time. Time, I learned, is what people ask for when they hope you'll get tired of waiting. Then his mother called. Her name was Diane. I'd met her a few times before, pleasant, sharp-eyed, the kind of woman who spoke softly but expected to be listened to. She asked if we could meet for coffee. I think it would help, she said. I agreed. We met at a cafe near her house. She arrived early, already seated, hands wrapped around her cup like she'd been rehearsing what she wanted to say. Logan is miserable, she said after a few minutes. I'm sorry to hear that, I replied, and meant it in the abstract way you mean it when someone is suffering from consequences you warned them about. She studied me. Are you? I'm not happy he's hurting, I said, but I'm not going to apologize for protecting myself. She sighed. You're holding this prenup over his head like a punishment. It's not a punishment, it's a boundary. But it's unfair, she pressed. You have so much more than he does. That's not his fault, I said, and it's not mine. She leaned back. He was just talking. He didn't mean to take anything from you. He planned to, I replied calmly, and planning matters. Her lips pressed together. So what happens now? He signs it, I said, or we don't get married. You'd really throw away a relationship over paperwork? I'd walk away from a relationship with someone who sees me as a resource instead of a partner. She didn't have an answer for that. When we left, I felt lighter. Not vindicated, just done. A week after I met Logan's mother, the silence broke. Not with a text, not with a call, but with a certified letter. I stood at my kitchen counter, envelope in hand, already knowing it wouldn't contain an apology. It was from his lawyer. The letter was formal, polite, almost impressive in how confidently it tried to rewrite reality. Logan was demanding compensation for improvements he'd made to the property during the time he lived there. Attached was an itemized list: furniture rearrangement, decor purchases, design consultation services. I actually laughed out loud. Not because it was funny, but because it was exactly who he was. I drove straight to my lawyer's office and slid the papers across his desk. He skimmed them once. Then he laughed too. Wow, he said, he's bold. What happens now, I asked. We respond, he said easily, with our own list. He drafted a counter demand on the spot. 5 months of rent at fair market value. Utilities. Storage use. Every month, Logan had lived in my house rent-free, reframed as what it actually was. The letter went out the next day. That angle collapsed quickly. After that, there was nothing. No calls, no messages, no lawyers. Just quiet. The engagement ring is still in my dresser drawer. Wedding planning never resumed. Friends stopped asking questions. I'm sure sides were taken in private, but I stopped caring. I'm still 33, still living alone, still in the house I bought, fixed, and paid off myself. I'm not euphoric, I'm not celebrating, I'm not pretending it didn't hurt, but I'm at peace. And I learned something I'll carry with me longer than any relationship. Someone who loves you won't try to take what's yours. They'll build something new with you instead.